If you keep finding yourself starting over on your wellness journey every Monday, this video is for you. So many women of God are stuck in this process. You're not alone. Throughout this video, we're going to unpack 3 simple shifts that will help you to begin to see results, not just temporarily, but ones that you can actually maintain. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. So our foundation is built around 2 principles. The first is that nothing is wrong with you. And we got to call that out immediately, because all that's happening now is God is inviting you in to shift how you approach wellness. He's trying to mature this process because it's the foundation. Point 2. Your wellness is the foundation everything you're building is on. And so if you continue to look at yourself as the problem, you won't have the self-trust required to move forward. And it's time to go forth, woman of God. So in the past, I personally made a lot of mistakes in my wellness journey. If you're new to my testimony, I lost 80 pounds in 11 months, gained it all back because it was unhealthy. And I used a lot of quick fixes and I was not whole in that process. And then later on, around 2020, I lost weight again, and I've been able to maintain that wellness. Now, a part of it was putting Christ in the center, which I talk a lot about on this channel, but today I want to get into the fact that we're no longer pursuing quick fixes. And a part of you not seeing results, not being able to maintain your disciplines, is you're trying to go back to the weight loss strategies that worked effectively when you were a teenager or in college, and you're a grown woman of God now. You have a lot of responsibilities and things to steward. So we can't pursue those quick fixes anymore. What we have to do is figure out a process that can be sustainable throughout all seasons of our lives. And that's where your struggle is. That's why you're not getting results. If this is speaking to you already, go ahead and like this video. It tells TikTok to continue to push it out on the algorithm. Now let's get into some biblical truth here. I know that this sounds like all gushy, but it's the honest to goodness truth. It's what God put on my heart when prepping for this video. And it's to remind you that you are seen and known and loved by God. I'm going to pull this from Psalms 139 verses 1-3, which says, "You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going and my lying down. You are familiar with all of my ways." And the reason why I want to present this to you is because many of you, like myself, can be a little critical of yourselves, a bit hard on yourself. And that can develop this mentality where you feel like you need to fix yourself and fix everything in your wellness journey before you can take it to God, instead of allowing him to help you in that process, right? And so I just want to encourage you in knowing that that's not the case here. He's here to help. He understands your shortcomings. He understands your struggles, whether you wrestle with gluttony or busyness or comfort eating, whatever your thing is, he knows it. And in this season, he wants to help you overcome that, because he has so much more in plan for you, so much more wholeness, so much more kingdom impact, so much more fruitfulness in him. And so he's trying to prune and uproot this part of your life out. And perfection is not required for that, right? In fact, the wellness that you're going to walk into will be the byproduct of being whole in him. Instead of trying to become well or lose weight or transform to become whole, it's actually the opposite way around, all right? And we have access to this simply through reconciliation with Christ, not by acts, not by works. Now, I know some of y'all have this like, all right, Coach B, I'm just too busy for the wellness thing. I cannot be consistent. I cannot lock in on my wellness journey. And I'm going to call you out. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1 says, "To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under the sun." So yes, there are seasons of just running. There are seasons of stretching. There are seasons where we just got to do what we got to do, right? Whether you are exiting out of a wilderness season or whether you are being exalted, and so therefore your territory is being stretched. But the key point I want to make here is that's a seasonal thing. If you've been in that place for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, something is off. Some of you shouldn't even be in that place for more than 6 months, because the Lord gives us rest and he gives us the ability to transform, right? And so there is a limitation to how whole you can be if you're stuck in survival mode, which I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. I don't want to get ahead of myself. So you have to chill out and you have to be honest with yourself about the season you're in. If this is a time where your wellness is becoming an urgent issue, it continues to ring and like, I gotta get this together, I gotta get this together, you can't ignore it anymore, then in reality, you do have time to get your wellness together. Now, I will say that if you're thinking about the old ways you used to approach weight loss, where it was very rigorous, very restrictive, very time consuming, maybe that's a part of the issue, because it can be integrated into your lifestyle in a way where it's not consuming or a distraction, but a part of how you move. But to not deal with it all together and your excuse is always too busy, not so, sis. All right, so I'm going to drop a freebie really soon. It might be this week. I'm hoping to get it out to you all this week. So if you have not subscribed already, subscribe and definitely cut on your notifications so that when I put the post out, I don't know if it's going to be a YouTube video, a short, or a post in the community, you guys can get the alert and you can go ahead and access that so that you can begin to apply these 3 shifts in real time, plus other things that will practically help you with, again, not having to start all over on Monday, but continue to have momentum in your wellness journey no matter what is going on in this season. So let's get into our 3 tips that you can easily apply and not just get results in your wellness journey, but sustain them. The first is related to your energy. But I don't know if all of you are familiar with my testimony. I think I mentioned it briefly. So after I lost those 80 pounds in 11 months, I developed a binge eating disorder, which I think I already had it before I lost the weight. It just was easy to identify because I hit a weight loss plateau and was a little bit really chaotic cycles, right? That is what led me into a place of inviting the Lord into my wellness years later, because I knew I could not go back to the old methodology of weight loss, which is very restrictive, very mind over matter, very just gritty and like white knuckling it, right? And so maybe that's where some of you are, where you know that you can't even commit and be consistent because it just seems miserable the way you approach weight loss before, right? So I want to talk about that a little bit more. It's hard to be motivated when you only see what you're going to lack and not what you're going to gain by getting consistent. So I thought I needed more motivation, and I was praying for more motivation on my weight loss journey, right? But I really needed a new way of doing things. As I was maturing as a woman of God of purpose, it was no longer I need a quick fix and quick results so my clothes fit a little bit better and the scale goes down. It was like I need energy, I need momentum, I need clarity to carry and steward this calling on my life and every opportunity the Lord has entrusted to me well, right? And so if that's where you're at, it's time to shift that thought process. And when you shift that thought process of I no longer just want to quickly lose weight, then you also want to shift your methodology to getting there. And I can help you with that process as we continue to talk through this. But is that where you're at, sister? Where, dag, it's actually deeper to me than just weight loss. Like I want to be well and I want to be whole and I need it to do what I'm purposed to do. Because in all reality, you get to a point where you want to be whole enough to carry your cross and carry it well. That way you're a faithful steward and you can be continuously trusted with more, right? Point number 2, or tip number 2, is that, this isn't temporary. This is a permanent shift and it's urgent. So some of you might already know this, but I lost family members to breast cancer, and they were very important figures in my life, my aunts and my grandmother, right? And watching their journey, it did things to me. It actually led to the beginning of a journey full of health. It led to me wanting to get my health and wellness together. These women were lights in our family and pillars in our community, the communities that they were leaders within. And the grief of losing them, I could not stay the same. And I was early in my young adult life dealing with this. So it brought me to a place of, you know what, I know what staying in survival mode does. There has to be more to life than this, more to life than just serving others and paying bills and working hard and just like that rabbit loop. I did not necessarily know what stepping out of that would entail, but I knew I needed to. And I knew that was required for my health to be taken care of, right? And so if this is relating to you in any way, then you're probably someone that understands I need to incorporate rest. I need to incorporate good nutrition. I need to really transform my lifestyle because it's only a matter of time before I get a diagnosis. And those of you where that's where you are, tell me in the comment section down below, what is it going to take for you to seriously take this shift seriously? How far does it have to go? What does a doctor have to say? What do you have to see in the mirror? What do you have to feel in your body? Because let's be honest, many of us that are struggling, you're dealing with inflammation in your body already. You're dealing with headaches. You're dealing with feeling burnt out regularly throughout the year, right? And so those are symptoms of something. It's time for something to shift. Really, how bad for you does it have to get? And I'm not trying to be funny, but be real with yourself. What do you need to see? For me, my wake up call was seeing the women in my life that I loved go through much deep suffering after being amazing and strong women, where I'm like, yeah, it's something, I can't do that. I need another way. All right, now let's get into our last point, which is tip number 3. Treat yourself as a daughter of God. I'm gonna repeat that. Treat yourself as a daughter of God. I already spoke about this a little bit, and encouraging you that the Lord loves you, right? But I wanna put it like this: God cares about the sower just as much as He cares about who you're sowing into and what you're sowing into. Because sometimes when you are passionate about advancing the kingdom of God, being a leader, being a mom, being a powerful wife, right? Being supportive to the women that you are called to or the ministries that you are called to, you can lose sight that without those roles, you were chosen. Without those roles, God sought after you so much that He sent His only begotten Son to redeem you so He could walk with you through this life. And when you forget that, it's easy to put yourself on the back burner all the time, right? Does how you eat speak to being cared of in this way? Like, I'll say it like this: does how you eat reflect the fact that God cares about you? Does how you think of yourself reflect the fact God cares about you? Does how you treat yourself reflect the fact God cares about you? And some of you might pop out and say, yeah, of course, right? And I would have said that years ago as well. But let me put it to you like this: if Queen Esther came as a guest, right, would you treat her, feed her, and speak of her the way you treat, feed, and think of yourself? Be real in the comment section. Do not lie, woman of God, okay? And if not, are you willing to make the necessary changes? Do you see how this is pertinent, right? Because how can you carry this heavy and weighty calling on your life if you continue to treat yourself the way you're treating yourself? Is it really possible? And in closing, I just want to remind you that you can move forward victoriously now. If you have not subscribed, like I mentioned earlier, go ahead and cut on your notifications when you subscribe so that you can grab this freebie when I drop it later on this week. Your foundation in wellness can continuously be built out in a wholesome way. Just because the old habits didn't work or the old habits are not working anymore and you keep restarting, it doesn't mean that that has to be the way you continue to move forward. If you need support with figuring out, how do I do this? Okay, I know what to change, but how do I apply this? Go ahead and apply to my 6-month Spirit-Led Life Wellness Program down below, and I'll follow up with you. And lastly, you cannot continue to put this off. Listen, the future version of you depends on the decisions that you're making now. We already know based on research that the older we get, the harder it is to build new habits. As you are growing in age, you're losing muscle. And so we're building a foundation for the later days now. You can't put this off anymore. You already know based on what I said that, you know, your wellness is the foundation for what you are building. So the longer it takes you to sow into your wellness, the harder it's going to be to build something, a legacy that you can pass down as an inheritance to your children. And lastly, you don't need no more motivation, baby. You need a new lifestyle. And an emphasis on need. You need a new lifestyle. You need a new way of doing things. You don't need a quick fix. You don't need a shortcut. You need a new lifestyle. And that's why it's been hard to stick with, because you're looking at something quick fix and temporal, right? I love you, journey mates, and I thank you for allowing me to coach you through this process. If you don't apply, I'll see you next week. And if you do apply, I'll see you in the meet whenever we schedule a time to meet, okay? All right, bye, y'all.